Let me call to order Bristol, Tennessee City Council called meeting for April 17th, 2023. Mary Lee, would you please call the roll?
Yes, sir. Lettrell?
Here.
Turner?
Here.
Farrell? On our way. Etten?
Here.
Powers? Here.
Okay, we have one item for consideration on our agenda. It's Resolution 23-37, agreeing to the terms of a consent final order for permanent injunction and other relief related to the litigation between Bristol, Tennessee and Bristol, Virginia. Mr. Anderson, would you please summarize the matter for the public?
Thank you, Mayor, but I will ask City Attorney Danielle Smith to provide a summary, please.
Okay.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. It's a little strange to be addressing you from this side of the room, but I'm happy to be here tonight because I'm presenting something that I think will be of great benefit to the cities of both Bristol, Virginia and Bristol, Tennessee. As you've reviewed your materials, what you've been presented is an agreed final order that will settle the litigation between Bristol, Virginia and Bristol, Tennessee over the Bristol, Virginia landfill. You probably have already read the final order and you've seen the salient points of the agreement. I will just briefly explain that on March 14th, 2023, former city manager William Sorer and I attended mediation in federal court in Abingdon in front of Judge Sargent, Magistrate Judge Sargent. We were represented ably by Troutman Pepper, which was our outside counsel that we had retained, and also by Lynn Doherty, who served as local counsel for us. And I'd like to take the opportunity tonight to explain something that may not be known widely, but Lynn Doherty did this pro bono. He did not charge the city for his services at all, and I think he spent quite a bit of time on this. So I don't know that people recognize that, but with all the discussion about fees related to this litigation, I think that's important to say. We did have a really productive day up in Abingdon and agreed to certain points, and you all have heard those points over the course of the last few weeks. We've spent a lot of time sort of hammering out the details of the language, but the most important things that I want to make sure people understand is that this final order means that the landfill will permanently close. The quarry landfill will be closed permanently in accordance with Virginia DEQ's regulations. So once Bristol, Virginia reaches a point where it legally can close it, put a final cover on it, it is agreed to do so. The second important point is that Bristol, Virginia will conduct continuous air monitoring at a couple of points on the landfill property that face into Tennessee. And so there will be continuous air monitoring conducted on that Tennessee line of the landfill until the EVOH cover is put into place. And that's a membrane line or cover that's going to be put over the landfill at some point in the future. But during that time frame, we will have data coming from that air monitoring, and they've agreed to make that public on a regular basis. Finally, Bristol, Virginia will make a one-time payment to Bristol, Tennessee in the amount of $300,000. The federal court order, that final order, is going to come with certain other provisions that enable Bristol, Tennessee to enforce the federal court order. And through the federal court order, we will also have the ability to enforce certain portions of the consent order that was entered between Bristol, Virginia and the state of Virginia in the Richmond, Virginia Circuit Court. So specifically, we will have the right to enforce the terms of Appendix A of that consent order, which deals with the quarry landfill itself. That consent order was broader, but what we were really interested in was making sure that Bristol, Virginia complies with the terms of the expert panel report as it relates to landfill 588, the quarry landfill. So with that, if there are any questions, I'm happy to answer them, but that's pretty much it.
Danielle, I think it should be noted that if there are violations to this, that there will be the monetary enforcements per penalty, correct?
We can seek those. It's not guaranteed, it's not written to the order, but to the extent that federal law provides that there are monetary penalties or any other kind of penalties for violations, then we would be able to seek those.
And any penalties that have a monetary value attached to them, that money, to be clear, does not come to Bristol, Tennessee. I think there's confusion that there is money coming to Bristol, Tennessee outside of the one-time $300,000 payment. But should there be any penalties that have a monetary attachment, that money does not come to Bristol, Tennessee. It actually goes to...
Right. That's correct. If there are penalties imposed by the various regulatory agencies that have oversight over the landfill, that would go to the federal government. It would not come to us.
Thank you.
And also, you may have said that, but the jurisdiction with this still is in federal court.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. The federal court really retains jurisdiction over this lawsuit. It's settled, it's closed, but then if there are violations, we have the ability to go back to federal court and enforce this final order. So the federal court retains jurisdiction for that purpose.
Thank you. Does anybody else have any questions?
I'll just say that, this has been a long time in coming, and it's very unfortunate that we've been in this situation. And hopefully, as we go forward, now that some of the healing can begin, that this has been very divisive between our two cities. And being a sister city, you don't want to be fighting with your brother or your sister all the time. So hopefully this heals that, and we can all move forward.
Is there a motion to take action?
I make a motion that we accept this resolution 2327.
I'll second that motion.
Motion and a second. Would any member of council like to discuss this resolution?
I would just like to note that Mr. Lynn Doherty is with us this evening, and Lynn has just been incredibly valuable to this whole process. He has given us the opportunity to hash things out, and Danielle has been incredibly helpful as well, as was Mr. Sora. I agree with Councilman Luttrell that this has been a long time coming. It has been divisive, but moving forward, I, for one, and I think we as a council, are very intent on working collaboratively with our city when and where we possibly can.
I want to say that there's been a lot of people that have worked tirelessly behind the scenes and publicly, making phone calls to various people, stepping up in lots of ways. Hope for Bristol. We couldn't thank you all enough for all that you've done, the time, the energy, the concern. Certainly, Lynn, thank you very much. Mr. Johnson, thank you as well. I just can't say enough. Like this was an act that it wasn't just City Council. It was lots and lots of people who have a heart, not just for Bristol, Tennessee, but for Bristol, Virginia as well. And we wanted to see things move in a hopeful and a positive direction. I feel like this has done that. It was a hard decision to take this step, to sue, to take legal action against people that you're joined at the hip with. And hopefully we can move forward. I'm looking forward to, with broad sunlit uplands, that we can work together as one city and move things forward. So I want to just say thanks to so many people for all that they've done. Thank you.
Yeah, there are. There's,
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Go.
Just reiterate what everybody said. Also wanted to thank everybody for patience, because when you're doing this and attorneys are involved and figuring out strategies and next steps, et cetera, and all the environmental issues and different players, et cetera, that sometimes things didn't move as fast as we wanted to, much less for public who didn't know everything that was being considered, et cetera. So appreciate everybody's patience. And also with the thanks, Troutman and Pepper served us very well. Had great experience and advice to provide us, and we thank Danielle for the homework she did to figure out which attorneys would fit best with us and with the issues that we had. So really appreciate that as well. So thank you.
And I agree with all that. This is, I know back early in the process, there were many times of will we would ever get to where we are here today. And I'm glad we're here. We can put this behind us and move forward and get this thing corrected. And it's a good day in Bristol. So, all right, with that, would anyone from the public like to address council? If so, step to the podium and just state your name and address.
Get my notes. I couldn't get my printer to work this morning. So Joel Kellogg, 1204 Maryland Avenue, Bristol, Tennessee.
And I'm Chris Knupp, Bristol, Virginia, Shakespeare Road.
So good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the council. We are here today on behalf of Hope for Bristol and as residents of our shared community, standing in solidarity. We are here today on we are here to commend you for your courage, conviction, and commitment to our community. Your actions, along with those of Mr. Sora, Ms. Smith, Mr. Anderson, Mr. Dougherty, and all of your impressive staff, have brought us to this historic moment in time. We know full well the challenges and the adversity that you all have faced, the countless hours spent, the sleepless nights endured, the bravery and the resolve that you have shown during this process is remarkable. So tonight, you're about to accomplish something that no other government or agency has been able to or willing to accomplish, and that is permanent closure. So those two words will be publicly uttered for the first time tonight by your counterparts in Bristol, Virginia. Those two simple words bring a sigh of relief from thousands of affected residents. We can now move forward knowing that the possibility of ever reopening this monumental disaster is gone. There are many other wins in tonight's resolution as well. Also, as we spoke earlier, the end of this litigation marks a point in time that will allow the healing process within our shared community to begin. In closing, we extend our sincerest thank you, as well as our shared respect and admiration. We're proud to claim this community is home. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. He's got stuff wrote down. I'm speaking from my heart here, okay? Hey, I want to thank each and every one of you guys, Danielle, Lynn, everybody else behind the scenes, like you guys was talking. This could have been avoided. It was downplayed for a long time. And you know me, you probably heard me on the other side. I got a big mouth. I'm not afraid to speak. I speak what's right. Permanent closure. Everybody give a big hand on that, okay? Permanent closure. We finally heard it. And I hope the folks at Bristol, Tennessee and Bristol, Virginia, because both sides has been hit really hard with this situation, some harder than others. It's affected a lot of people, especially a lot of older people. I have got out myself in my community and talked to just about everybody in the community. Spent 2 days knocking on doors. A lot of people said, oh, God, here he is. But no, it worked out good. And we just want to thank each and every one of you again. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
George Link, 307 Rutledge Street, Bristol, Tennessee. I just want to say I appreciate you all. I've gone through exercises very similar to what you just did, and I understand the nuances in the time, in the navigation of legal strategy in regards to environmental compliance. It's ugly, it's boring, it's very technical, and I know many of y'all spent a great deal of your personal time doing this. I at least get paid to do it when I do it. So I just wanted to thank you. And I know my family in particular, my mom, my dad, my grandmother, are very appreciative. A lot of people don't realize, and we try not to advertise it too much, this was the second landfill event in our family's lives. My father's family went through a landfill disaster with the Meadowlands landfill in New Jersey, and that ended up being incredibly terrible for that community. And you all dodged a very serious bullet. Everybody dodged a very serious bullet here in Bristol, and the conviction and the courage to actually act on it before it became that big of a catastrophe. It's noted and appreciated. At least I know for my family's household. In regards to the healing process, you will see me triumphantly carrying a war banner for Bristol, Virginia, because, to be quite frank, I've paid a lot of fines to VDAC, and I'd like to see a little bit of that money come to fix a problem that they kind of caused. So you'll be seeing me running my mouth, and then I'll be seeing you talking about the skate park in the future. So thank you all.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, I believe we're ready for a vote. Mary Lee?
Yes.
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 Okay.
Mr. Mayor, can I just add that with appreciation for the comments, but also to say that maybe it took courage from us, but it certainly, the focus is what was going on with our citizens and to do what was right. And with the exception of Mr. Hutton, most of us did not experience what the key folks have experienced. So that's what this biggest focus should be. And also just appreciation for this issue and some of the others that we've had we've all been on the same page from the very beginning. And absolutely no question. And there have been some folks who have not understood why we've had to take it, but for the most part, I think our Bristol citizens have agreed that it needed to be followed up and that we needed to do this. So, and I think a lot of that has to do with y'all's visibility. You're taking the high road, you're bringing it to attention, not letting go. So and with all that, to do what's right didn't take as much courage with y'all's support and bringing it to our attention, so.
Anything else? With that, we are adjourned.